Blog Talk Radio.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to BeatStreet Sports Talk Radio. I am your host, the Hoops Guru, Lee, along with my partner in crime, Ed, Mr. MKA, Mr. Know-It-All. Mr. Know-It-All, again, is getting his not CP3, but his CPT on being late for our show. But we'll see if we give him a chance to chime in here so we can review the week that was in the NFL. If anybody'd like to join into the banter, you can give us a call. My number here is 347-945-6921. Again, that's 347-945-6921. This is BeatStreet Sports Talk Radio. Fantastic weekend we had in sports, whether you're talking college football, whether you're talking NFL, whether you're talking college hoops, or the NBA. Just great all around sports. So we really got a lot to review. My man Ed, he came in. So what's going on, Ed? You're not CP3 anymore. You're a CP something else, I see. But what's going on, man? Glad to see you.
Hey man, nothing much, brother. Just waiting to get this show in, get that recount for the where we stand at and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Man, you calm down with all that. Nobody wants to hear about that, man. Actually, you know what? We are, as we stand right now, after 13 weeks of picking teams, we are tied. 122 wins to 69 losses. So it's tied.
You know what?
It's gonna be yeah.
No BS. I went ahead and I seen a lot of people who've done this for many years, and that number you just put out, that's a big number. A lot of people don't have that type of number. So even though I'll be getting on you and stuff, you've actually done a pretty good job with my analysis of doing your picks this year.
Yeah, I gotta have more guts though, man, because I know teams. There's certain.
Well, you had a rough week. You had a rough week last week.
I can't figure Cincinnati out. I can't figure out San Diego, and I can't figure out what was that game? Yeah, Indiana. I can't figure those three teams out.
Those teams been doing to everybody though. So.
Yeah, but I think I get them wrong every week, man. But you're coming on strong, real strong, man. So we got 4 more solid weeks of good football to play this thing out. So it'll be very interesting. I'm glad the Giants were able to get a win against a bad Washington team, or else I'd be losing right now. But before we get into all the NFL, man, we got to talk about the biggest game of the week, which was the Iron Bowl, Auburn Tigers at the Alabama Crimson Tide, or vice versa. I believe they were at Auburn. Have you ever seen a game like that, 1? 2, do you have anything to say about Nick Saban making the call to bring in the young kicker to kick a 57-yard field goal attempt?
Well, the main thing that I'm surprised with is the fact that Auburn was that close. They went ahead and they came up with some offensive, different type of formations Malzahn did to go ahead and exploit some things against Bama, because the quarterback for Auburn will be playing wide receiver in the pros or be a career backup because he's not a proficient passer, but he used him for the best of his abilities with his legs. And when it comes down to Nick Saban, I mean, you can look at it and say, okay, well, instead of you kicking that field goal, you could have went in and done something else. But I don't have a severe problem with him kicking a field goal because he had a regular kicker and a long-distance kicker. And like I said, the guy had made, 60-yard field goals in practice. But sort of similar to the whole Tebow reference, you got some guys that can do great things in practice. You put them in the game, and as you know, they don't do nothing. And then you have guys like Tebow who look terrible in practice, but you put them in the game, and they put in work. So I can't blame him going with his gut, as you say, and going for the field goal. It just didn't work out. But, college football is so crazy. They're still not out of it. But, it was a good game. But Auburn right now is just on the streak right now of having games like that. They end up turning out and winning like they did against the previous week against Georgia. Was it Georgia? Yeah. The previous game they had, I may not have been Georgia. But, I mean, the ball just, bounced out of the two, the cornerback and the safety's hands and bounced to the other guy. I mean, so they've had a lot of fortunate wins, which you need some luck to win any championship. But at some point, that nonsense got to stop.
But when I look at the game here, I've been hearing a lot of things from a lot of different sports outlets. I have nothing wrong with what Nick Saban did. I mean, he went for the win. And, some guys say he should have went for the Hail Mary. I'm sorry, but if I see my field goal kicker able to get me 3 points that win the game rather than opposed to just throwing the ball up for a jump ball, why not go for the win? And the thing that kills me most is, hindsight is 20/20. Everybody's talking now, but it's hard to predict the never seen. We've never seen anyone do that before. So, hey, you just got to give Auburn credit. Unfortunately, college football is, like Nick Saban said, like the NCAA tournament. And for all intents and purposes, their season's over. They're out of it. Unless something remarkable happens this weekend, they're pretty much done, which is sad. And it goes into another question I got to ask you. It's two questions. Who do you think is going to be in the national championship? And outside that, who would you like to see in the national championship, according to where the records stand right now?
Well, I know you're saying their season's done, but I know last year everybody thought they knew what the match was going to be, and you had, who was it? A couple of teams lose last year, and that's how Notre Dame.
They beat the high-ranking Georgia. Yeah.
Remember, that's how Notre Dame got into the chip game, though. Notre Dame had teams ahead of them, and Oregon and somebody else lost, and that's how they got there. So don't sleep. It's all that last game, things always happen the last, 2-3 weeks of the season. But just based off the question that you asked me, I'm going to say that the matchup more than likely is going to be FSU, and I think how some of the games play out, probably Ohio State. But with that being said, I think that I still see as the thing goes down with Jameis Winston, because if he's not going to be on the team by the time period of time to select, I don't believe the committee is going to still let Florida State have that spot because of the fact that they're not going to be that, BCS ranking minus the quarterback. So I still have to wait to see how things like that go. But personally, I would have liked to have seen Bama and Florida State. I know Bama lost, but I just don't feel as if there's some of the other teams that are ahead of them now or, as good as they are. That's how football is, it's a one game, scenario. It's not like the NBA, we get 7 games. So they lost. It is what it is, but like I said, we got to still see how the season plays out and see what the computers say. But I would prefer to see Bama and FSU.
Yeah, I think that's the game everybody wants to see. But then in the same token, I wouldn't mind seeing Florida State and Ohio State, 2 undefeated, 2 teams that are SEC. Just because, and I think, it'd be good to see a good football game outside of SAC and somebody else win the championship before they get to the bowl. I think it'd be good because the SEC has been running for a long, long time. But then there's a part of me that thinks damn, Alabama has been playing solid football, and to lose a game like that, where you were in it to win, you lost at the last second, still shouldn't just drop you off the face of the map either. So I'm just glad they're going to a playoff because right now I think Alabama still would top 4 and they would have a legitimate shot of really winning the national title. So I'm glad this is the last year of this BCS stuff and we can actually get into a playoff system next year. But yeah, let's transition over to the NFL. Monday night, are you surprised what happened to the Saints going into Seattle? Was that pretty much what you thought would happen?
What have I been saying all year?
That Seattle's untouchable at home.
Yes, you go up there, that's a loss. That's I'm not gonna say it's impossible, but it's pretty close. The way that they get hyped up at the house and how they play is very similar to New Orleans. They're both undefeated at home, and that's why that was a big loss by the Saints, because not only did they go ahead and basically didn't have a shot for home field, they gave them the same record now as Carolina, who they'll be playing twice in the next 3 weeks. So,
pretty much you're stamping them a ticket to go to the Super Bowl.
I will, well, like I told you, I will say this. In the beginning of the year, me and some other coaches were talking, and I'll say by like week 2, week 3, people were already saying the Super Bowl was going to be Seattle and Denver. Now, Seattle, obviously, look, they're going to have home field, but right now, there's only 2 teams that's going to be making the playoffs. I can see they would be able to go ahead and play their style of ball and beat them at their game, and that would be San Fran and Carolina. I don't see nobody else being able to stop them at the house to get to the bowl. But right now, they have to be the odds-on favorite, but we still got to see about injuries and, you know, how people perform in the second season. So,
hey, Carolina season can change real quickly over these next 2 weeks. I mean, 2 of the 3 games are against the Saints. And,
yep.
I mean, we're really going to see what they're made of going here forward because, I mean, those games could easily be losable, let's say, you know. But it's going to be interesting to see how the Saints bounce back after just getting drubbed on Monday night out there in Seattle. And
one more thing before you finish with this game, it has to be said. The Saints played them exactly the way you want to play them at home. They shut down Marshawn Lynch. He only had 65 yards, and he said, you know what? I want these no-name wide receivers to beat me. They played it exactly the way you want to. And they still got blown out, even with the defense only getting a sack, interception, and a touchdown. The thing that beat them is that Russell Wilson just had an outstanding day because the other games previous to that, he had been, like, you know, doing a lot of running because the tackles have been in the game and things of that nature. You know, does a good job of navigating wins. But Monday night, he went ahead and, you know, I didn't even want to say this. I said it to a coworker or one of my boys earlier today. The level that he played at on Monday night, he was a perfect blend of pocket passer and a player who would get to the edge, create more time, and throw the ball downfield, making all type of throws, intermediate, short, and long. He was playing on an Aaron Rodgers level last night. If that boy is going to play that way the rest of this year in the playoffs, they might as well send Lombardi Trophy to Seattle right now.
Is Russell, well, this might be a dumb question. I probably should know this. The MVP in the NFL, do they do it over both, or is it one for the AFC and one for the NFC?
You know, the whole league. Don't get me wrong, they have it for individual conferences. No one pays attention to that, but typically they do an overall award. He hasn't done enough consistently throughout the year, no fault of his own, to be considered for that award. But just right now, how he's playing and how they're peaking. No, he ain't get that.
You don't think? So who would you consider the MVP in the NFC? In the NFC then right now, it can't be Aaron Rodgers.
Oh no! It'll be. I'll give you a couple people. Actually, Drew Brees will be one of them. He's having a real great year. I would have to say, well, that's his one game, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I would say, remember, that's a season award. So he's going to have outstanding numbers, much bigger numbers than Russell Wilson. I would say, just 3 people off the top of my head. I would say Breeze, Megatron, and I would say Cam Newton. I think all 3 of them will be ahead of Russell Wilson.
Man, I think a lot of people go upside your head with the Cam Newton, man, over Russell Wilson.
Hey, they can say what they want to, but when they look at the numbers, Cam has better numbers than Russell Wilson. So they can go upside my head, but when I give them those stats and facts, they have to back up.
But I think Russell Wilson, man, you can make a good case just because of, records count. Records count big time, and they've been the dominant team in the NFC. I think you got to give them that. But, yeah, all your picks are legitimate. But there's also something else I wanted to talk to you about. Can you tell us what is going on in Washington? I mean, this team won the NFC East last year. Going in this year, they did have to recover over the RG3 injury, but no one expected 3-9. And Justin Tuck had 4 sacks that game. That was double his whole season. Is the offensive line giving up on him? Like, what's really going on in Washington?
Well, I know a lot of people, which I don't really understand, but I know a lot of people are shocked and amazed and wondering the question that you asked. But let's be honest with ourselves. They went on a 7-game win streak last year to go, 10-6? They were 3-6 at the time. That was a very improbable in rare scenario that cannot be, as they always like to say about my man Tebow and his throwing motion, was not sustainable. So really, they were a terrible team last year. They just happened to get hot and go ahead and go on a streak, and a lot of things, went their way. They had a system that nobody had seen before, they wasn't prepared for, so they surprised people. They had outstanding performances from Alfred Moore, the sixth-round pick, and RG3. Then the defense went ahead and played better during that 7-game streak. So they had a lot of things that go in their favor. Every season, this thing's not going to go in your favor. This season coming to this year, people were prepared. RG3 was coming off an injury. They really didn't do anything because they spent those 2 picks for RG3. They really didn't have picks to go ahead and, increase the talent level and or depth of the squad. And then I don't want to say the rest of the conference got better, but then you had more consistent performances from teams in the conference that didn't have those things from last year. So to me, it's not a great surprise or shock that the Redskins have the record that they have, because in all actuality, they had no business going a 7-game win streak and win the division last year. They just got lucky, just like Minnesota got lucky last year. A couple of things went their way. So it's not really a great surprise if you look at the team. What did they really do to improve that team?
Not much, but I mean, this 3-9 though. Did you see that coming?
I didn't have them finishing. I didn't have them finishing last in the division, which I believe they are now. But I had them second to last. So, I told you from the beginning, first couple of shows, that the whole division was going to come down to Dallas and Philly. So I'm not really surprised that those other 2 teams are not really in it.
The pass option, is it dead in the NFL?
No. The thing that's making it dead is that these teams went ahead and they brought it into the league, but they're only using like 1, sometimes maybe 2 formations. You look at college games, they're running a read option. Look at Auburn. Auburn ran a read option out at least like 10 to 15 formations. So it's a thing that the coaches are using this as a package, and because of the package, they don't have a lot of variation to it. So that's what's making it look like that it's dead. But if they dedicated and made it a integral part of their offensive schemes and game plans, there's no way that you're shutting that down. Like there's too many. Like I think the one play where the quarterback for Auburn had the touchdown run, he ran the same formation that RG3 runs, except instead of just leaving that side open, where you have to read the defender, where you decide whether it's going to be given to the back up the gut or the quarterback's going to go to the edge. I've never seen it before. They had a wide receiver go in motion, pick that guy up. Then you had the running back go to the hole with the quarterback going behind him. So now you got a guy blocking the edge, the quarterback don't get hit, a blocker going through the hole before the quarterback, and the quarterback just uses speed to get it open. You've never seen that formation and or man in motion in the pros. But like I said, they're not being innovative or, dedicating their system to it to go ahead and exploit defenses. But if they went ahead and did as such, there's no way you're shutting it down, because anything the defense does is wrong. So that's the problem.
Okay. I want to talk about another football game. Then we might probably transition to some other stuff. But Denver, Kansas City, this is 3 losses in a row now for Kansas City. Gallant effort. They lost by 1 touchdown, but nevertheless, Denver went in there and took care of business. So they went from the toast of the town to a team that's probably going to just get a wild card team.
Mm-hmm.
What do Kansas City, is it the reality just set in, or do they still have an opportunity to do something in the postseason?
Remember, I told you that team was a fraud. Remember, I told you when it was 6, 7, 8, 9. I told you it was a fraud team. Okay, like I know everybody say, "Oh, I get on the feeder." It's a fraud team. Like you don't go from 2-14 to 9-0 in one season, equipped, and like everything is all hunky dory. Now, and Reed helped. They brought over Alex Smith. They had talent. All those things are true. But when you get down to the nitty-gritty situation, Alex Smith is not going to win you no freaking big-time games. He's going to manage the game. He's going to not create mistakes. He's going to give us the ball. He's going to do basic quarterbacking level stuff. If you expect or have to lean on this dude to carry you for wins, he ain't doing it. So the Kansas City team, they're a good team, but they have been getting over with the defense, creating turnovers, getting touchdowns, and the special teams doing such, and then Alex Smith go ahead and chip it in. That's not a championship formula. Like, you need your quarterback to go ahead and do more than that. So, now, don't get me wrong. I'm surprised they lost to the Chargers. But remember, I had been told that Denver was going to sweep them. But just because of the simple fact that Denver's are more complete, and, of course, they have the better quarterback, which it always comes down to the quarterback.
Well, yeah, that's what I predicted as well. So
like I said, I'm not surprised at all. I'm not surprised at all. I mean, it's just crazy because they're going to have better records than pretty much two other division winners and everybody else in the AFC, and they're going to go from potentially having a first-round bye to going on the road to play a team with a lesser record. But that's just how it goes. So.
Well, it looks like San Francisco is going to be safe to make the playoffs, and Carolina looks like they'll be safe. San Francisco.
You've been hating on San Francisco for about 2-3 weeks. They were suspect.
It's not guaranteed though, because you have teams. Carolina's on their tails. Arizona's was only a game behind them. That loss to Philly really hurt this week. So they look like they hit their stride, but it's possible a quality team like them or Arizona or Carolina won't make the playoffs. But Carolina stumbles on here on out. Or New Orleans stumbles on here now because 2 or 3, they could be out.
Look here, bro. All right. The teams that are set to make the playoffs now are going to be the teams making the playoffs. Arizona isn't about anything. They just had a nice little run. No other teams in the NFC are going to knock those teams out. The only thing we need to see is we just need to see who's going to win the NFC South and who's going to win the NFC East. That's the only thing that we need to see. Because the wild cards are already set. I told you at the beginning of the year, whoever didn't win the NFC West between San Fran and Seattle was getting a bye, and then I thought somebody from the North was going to get a bye. But now, because of how Cam and them been playing, it's going to be whoever doesn't win the South. Outside of that, nobody else is making the playoffs. Arizona, all them other teams, the Eagles, Dallas, their record is going to be so bad that they have to win the division to make it. So they're not going to have a better record than whoever don't win the South. So, no, those other teams, stop it. The NFC teams are already pretty much in place. We just need to see the actual seeding. That's the only thing we're really playing out.
Man, you know what? Just because you're running your mouth like that, I hope Arizona sneaks in the back door because they don't look like they're out of it to me statistically. They're one game behind. They're one game behind San Francisco.
Oh, don't worry.
But
we got, like you say, right? We got on tape, so I'll be calling you back out. Don't worry about it. You good?
That's cool. That's cool. I believe you, man. But while we have a few minutes, let's transition over to a little bit of NBA. Tomorrow you have the Knicks playing the Brooklyn Nets.
Oh, God.
Two basement teams. And my thing is, does Jason Kidd looks like he has a leash on that team. They just hired him, so, but Mike Woodson, can he get fired if they lose tomorrow at Brooklyn, which will bring their losing streak to what, 10 games? Or maybe even more?
Well, I'll say this. The whole Mike Woodson thing is really amazing to me that he would even be. I mean, I know he's like a victim of his own success, but it would really be amazing to me that they would go and they would fire this dude when the last couple of coaches before him, they really didn't do anything, and then you're going to fire him after the 60 season that he had before. So that would make no sense to me, but, I don't really believe the Knicks are in a good management, which is part of the reason why they're not one of the more successful teams in the NBA. So that's one. When it comes to Brooklyn, like I said, I'm loving this because everybody act like these old dudes going to come in here and give LeBron and the big dogs in the Eastern Conference a problem, and they're not those guys no more. Now, you would have said 5 years ago, maybe, but they're not those type of players anymore. And at the end of the day, when your core players are the soft, non-productive, clutch, have already failed, supposed to be number one, overly hyped and paid players named Jefferson, the doggone Lopez, and Williams, you have no shot. Okay, so that team was never a factor.
Joe Johnson, right? You're talking about Joe Johnson, not Jefferson.
Yeah, Jay. JJ. Yeah, when you got those type of three guys that are soft dudes and non-leaders and really are like second and third tier players in their team, you're not going to win nothing. Those guys are the guys you got to lean on. They don't have the testicular fortitude to make it happen.
This is the situation, the pros and cons of Mike Woodson's situation. The cons are why he shouldn't be fired. The roster is terrible. I mean, you don't have a quality point guard. You know, you have guys that are halfway done in Kenyon Martin, Ron Artest. You have an uninspired, maybe 50 or 60% of his old self in Amari Stoudemire. But conversely, it's Mike Woodson's problem is that to me he's not playing the right rotations. Right now, Tim Hardaway Jr. and Shumpert are playing better than J.R. Smith. To me, you have to have a situation where you have Shumpert, Tim Hardaway Jr., Bargnani, and Carmelo on the floor with maybe Prigioni or some decent floor general. J.R. Smith is playing terrible. I don't know if because he got his money, he thinks he's on Carmelo Anthony's level or something, but this dude's just jacking up shots, man. He's not serving the team any will. But when you have Tim Hardaway on the floor with Bargnani, Carmelo, there's at least some ball movement, and you see guys getting open shots. So as long as that's not happening, they're going to continue to struggle. But I'm telling you, like, New York can't tolerate having a 9-game losing streak going into that game. Losing your 10th game in a row to Brooklyn is not going to sit well with James Dolan, and I can see change coming. Will change make a difference? Probably for 2 or 3 games, but at the end of the day, I can't say I don't see any of these teams making the playoffs because the East is that bad. You know, they
got like what, 3 teams that with over 500 records?
You have the Wizards are at 500, which right now, if the playoffs start today, they'd be the number 3 seed, and the only other 2 teams with a winning record are Indiana and Miami. So that's pretty bad. Chicago, you know, they had a great record, but they've just fallen off since Derrick. Well, I don't know if they're depressed or they're just in trouble, but they've been losing a lot of games lately. They're actually 2 games under 500. And this is crazy. This is why you got to always set your roster up for the worst-case scenario. Send Marquise Teague to the D-League. So your point guards right now are Kurt Thomas, and excuse me, not Kurt Thomas, that'd be horrible.
I'm about to say. Kurt Thomas he got handles now?
Kirk Heinrich and Mike James. Mike, I've been on like 10 teams, James. Come on, man. That's why you got to give Dave Robinson that little bit of money he signed for with Denver. Seriously, like.
Listen, you saying all this, but when it comes, going back, when it comes to the Knicks, like I said, Mike Wilson, see, you're saying all those problems and things they have, but then Dolan can say, okay, I hear you. Pretty much it's the same roster from last year. Last year you was what? A top 3 seed? So what's the problem?
Right.
To me, if I have the same people here, not the same result, it's because of something that you're not doing. So, like I said, he's going to be a victim of his own success. Even though they had the same problems last year during the second half of the season that they have it now, along with now the expectations, the hype, and you know, the thing that killed me was I know a lot of Knicks fans, there's no way that any Knicks fan, if they're being realistic and honest with themselves, should expect and or think that team has a legitimate chance to get to the finals or even the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, that's not even realistic. Like, seriously? The Knicks,
I'm
like,
tell you,
you act like you want to look at the team?
What'd you say?
Like, if you being a real basketball fan and not being a homer, which I know a lot of people can't separate those two things when it comes down to their team, the Knicks have no realistic chance looking at who is returning from the East of going to the finals or even going to the Eastern Conference Finals. No. Like, it's not even realistic. But people, trust me, I kept hearing all the time it was going to be either the Knicks or Brooklyn. I'm like, come on, man. That's like very disrespectful.
Never said the Knicks. Brooklyn is playing far more terrible than I anticipated. Darren Williams hasn't shown anything of who I thought he would be. So Brooklyn's been a shock. I thought I would, even if, let's say they aren't as good as I anticipated, I at least expect them to be leading that division with a close to 500 record. They're 7 games under 500 right now. I didn't see that at all. I can't say you saw that. But I'm telling you, the key to
no. I had them making the playoffs. I had them making the playoffs, and they probably still make the playoffs. But I didn't have them being no. I mean, I'm a Bulls fan, but even I knew the East really only came down to 2 teams. No, we're just going through a formality with these other teams acting like they're vying to have a chance. We all know, like I said before, there's only 4 teams that can actually win the chip. Everybody else is just filling out the bracket. So I don't even pay attention to those other teams.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, because of the 7-game series, it seems like reality always sets in. Because you'll get a series and the team might even put you to 7 games. It seems like the best team always wins. But what I'm saying, going back to New York, the whole New York and Brooklyn, I'm telling you what they need to do. They need to trade coaches, man. They just need to go ahead and put Mike Woodson. Mike Woodson needs to coach Brooklyn so he could get his hard-nosed defensive self coaching that team, and Jason Kidd could go back to the team he just played with and was an intricate part of them having a 50-win season. That's what they need to do. Trade coaches, and everything will be right in the city of New York.
Well, I mean, I like Jason Kidd as a player and things of that nature, but for him to be hired with, now I can't say nothing about it because Mark Jackson for Golden State Warriors, he wasn't a coach, but to go immediately from playing to coaching the next year with no former coach experience, no analytical or analyst experience on any TV show or anything to watch, observe players, to absorb stuff from Mike Fratello and things of that nature. I don't see how anybody thought that was going to be a recipe for success, or how with him getting some guys who had been former coaches to help him, and I don't even understand how the owner of the Nets will spend all his money he's paying on these old players and a unproven coach and think he's going to get a positive result. That doesn't even make any sense to me.
That was all about appeasing Darren Williams. Like I said, when you have a point guard that got Avery Johnson and the great Jerry Sloan fired, there's a problem. And they thought they could bring in Jason Kidd. He would relate to Darren Williams well, keep him motivated, teach him, have him playing ball at a quality level. And at the same time, you have these veterans that he shouldn't have to coach much anyway, and they would be harmonious. And it's totally backfired just for the simple fact Darren Williams hasn't had enough respect to stay healthy or in shape to lead this team. Now
I got a question for you. Now, what you saying that? So, if I told you to name me 5 to 10 players that will be worth or that could dictate to a franchise who their coach is going to be for them to stay on the team, you really would have said Darren Williams? Like, you really think that he has that type of, he's that important of a player to be able to do something like that?
But it's history showing he has. I'm not saying he shouldn't have.
No. That type of move that you're trying to say, or the thing that they cater to for him, he's not that type of player to be worth to go through for that for. He's never shown at no point in his career of going ahead and being a player that can lead you to a championship if you put the right players around him. Like, I don't even understand why anybody would even go ahead and allow themselves to be dictated to by him. His talent level is not that great for someone to do that for.
But he's put up great. Remember, in Utah, he was a stud when he was younger. In Brooklyn, he was supposed to be the savior of the franchise.
Okay, now when he was in Utah, how far did he advance in the playoffs?
I'm not saying that. His numbers. Come on, how he was taking them at least to the playoffs, thinking we were first round knockouts. But what else has Utah had to shine on since Stockton Malone left?
And the thing I always say is that Chris Paul did the same thing with lesser talent.
Yes, well, Chris Paul's better than Darren Williams.
Oh, well, hold on. Now, I totally agree with you, but I know a couple of 2-3 years ago, and you was one of these people, when my man Chris Paul got hurt that year, people started coming out the woodwork telling them, oh, yeah, Darren Williams is better and he's bigger. I'm like, dude, that dude has never been better than Chris Paul at any point in his career. Y'all need to stop.
Early on in their career, they were more parallel, you could say. Darren Williams, I could really say the last 2 years, maybe after the let's say from the lockout on when he went to Turkey and got his number retired, was drawing crazy buckets.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen much of him since the lockout, at least being the player he was. But I mean, Chris Paul
while Chris Paul went to the Clippers, who had been a bum franchise, and he's been having them with 50+ win seasons since he's been there.
Yeah, true. I mean, he's got better toys to play with, too. But right now, I mean, the Clippers are on top of that division, but their record isn't. I mean, 12-6 is a good record. But what's going on in Portland and Oklahoma City is even more impressive because Oklahoma City on the low is on a 7-game winning streak. They're actually tied for Portland with 3 losses. But Portland, man, they beat Indiana team that was pretty hot last night at home.
I mean,
so
that's impressive, but you know how it is. It's still early, man. You know what I mean? Like I don't believe no NBA teams. I don't start taking anybody to be real until after All-Star break. I mean, so right now they can go to the little thing.
Portland, I'm surprised. I didn't see this. I didn't see these guys being 10, 12 games over 500. This point in the season, or had got Oklahoma City looking up at them. Denver looked like they've written the ship of righting their ship because they started off pretty bad. They're on a 6-game winning streak. Minnesota, to my surprise, has a losing record right now. They started off hot. I don't know what happened. They haven't been injured
it's real simple. One thing, they haven't been injured yet, but the thing I know with Minnesota, not only do they not play no D, with you playing Love and Petrovic on the court at the same time, if you have an athletic front line at the 4 and 5 spots, they get beat down the court every time. So they have a couple of issues.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I don't know if we talked about it at the show. I was like, dang, Kevin Love seems like he needs to play the 5 sometimes, and then kind of play smaller because he doesn't. He's away from the basket a lot on the offensive end. But it seems like he can be posted up pretty easily on the defensive end. Even though he gets boards. So I wonder how much, Petro really can't go outside the box. So it seems like they kind of limit him in that area, and they're not a fast team.
Exactly.
They're not really a fast team, and I think that's what must be catching up with them. Denver, it seems like I was worried about my man Brian Shaw when the season started, but everything must have been catching on. I know JaVale McGee's hurt. It looks like they're not missing him at all. But I want to watch a little bit more of them because I don't know their actual rotations. I want to see if Kenneth Faried is getting playing time now. Because I think J.J. has been kind of playing a lot more late.
He's starting.
So, okay, who's starting? And Mob's off starting at the 5 then, right?
Yes.
Wow. So, JaVale McGee, that $11 million they're paying him, they ain't really paying off.
Hey, you know how the NBA is. It's all about height and potential.
Hey, man, you know what? At least they're smart enough to go ahead and play the guys that can give them an opportunity to win. This
is true.
But the Lakers are 9-9 right now. Kobe Bean looks like he's scheduled to come back Friday. I think Nash is coming back Friday. Do things get better or do they get worse for the Lakers?
Well, I know I was talking about this again with some other people, and really, it comes down to Kobe. If Kobe comes out and he plays like he did last year, and I don't mean like scoring up points, but there was a time period where he was playing where he was actually, for a first time in his career, being more than just a scorer and getting other people involved. If he comes back and get other people involved and be like, basically the point guard for the team like it was, and actually work his way back, then the Lakers are going to be a problem because unlike last year, they have one less big man, so there's more clarity on the offensive end, and they have a lot more youth and athleticism that they didn't have last year. But my fear is Kobe's going to be Kobe, and his point is going to be to come back and let everybody know, for real, number 25, and let them know that he's still that dude. So that's my fear, but I'm thinking that he'll do a combination of both. So
playing pretty good. They're sharing the ball. I don't think anybody's averaging over 17 points a game right now. I know Chris Kamen's been regulated to the bench. Nick Young and Jody Meeks, those guys have been, they've been playing pretty well. My thing is, will these guys be able to still let the shots fly? Are they going to play that carefree when Mr. Bean comes back? That's going to be the real question. Is Kobe going to, be his alpha male self, looking at dudes like, yo, get out the way, and is he going to be jacking them shots? Because one thing we know about Kobe's a stats whore. And I remember last year when he had assists, I guess he was getting assists, and he was like breaking his assist record every night. He gets caught up in trends like that. So I wanted to see how, to me, I think he's going to come out scoring. I just have a feeling that's how he wants to show, especially, he signed his big contract. I think he wants to come back, drop that double nickel in the garden type thing. So it'll be interesting to see. I can't remember. I think they're playing Portland on Friday, which is not the squad you want to come back to right now.
Well, actually, that's who Kobe would want to come back against.
Oh, why? Because to break their winning streak, trying to take all their shine.
And yeah, but like, this is the best right now. Okay, let me give them this work.
You know, get some work, all right, man. Them boys are playing some good ball, man. I mean, Robin Lopez has been. He was a throw-in with that trade. I'm really impressed with him right now. And the crazy thing about all this, their rookie C.J. McCollum hasn't played one game yet.
Mhm.
You know, that kid's actually a good talent. Imagine when they put him in the fold. That's actually like going to get a free agent. But my thing is, the way they're playing right now, well, I guess you could get some backup minutes at the shooting guard because it looks like Mo Williams is kind of doing double duty with both, playing some point and playing some off guard. So I guess there is minutes for him. And actually Thomas Robinson's getting some playing time with Portland as well. So, you know, they're shaping up pretty good. They're shaping up pretty good, man. So it looks like we're going to get together, Thursday, get ready for our NFL picks for Week 14. You know, you done caught it. You done climbed up to the top of the mountain with me, man. Now we're going to see who's going to stay there, I guess.
Hey, well, you know, like I told you on the last show, man, this is when you start to fade like Romo in December. So.
Nah, man, I'm about to pull the New York Giants 2007. You know, we about to pull it together. We about to pull it together, man. We're going to try to squeak this thing out, you know. But, hey, I'm have to be a little more analytical with my games because there's going to be this always comes down to a few games. So it'll be interesting, man. But, hey, that's a show, man. I got to get up out of here. I got basketball practice coming up for my young squad. Try to see if we can get a repeat going, man. So we'll see what happens. But I'll tune in Thursday, man. Appreciate y'all listening, y'all. Anything you got to say on the outro, Ed?
Nah, brother. Y'all go and have a good practice.
All right, man. Y'all be safe. This is BeatStreet Sports Talks Radio. Peace.